In today's episode, I'm sharing with you 2 finished objects as well as updating you on a bunch of my works in progress. There are many of them. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to announce the winner from my cardigan bundle pattern episode. Hi there, welcome back to Knitting by the Bay. We have a whole bunch of new subscribers, so I just wanted to say a warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining me and for subscribing to the channel, and others that have been here before, thanks for coming back again. I really appreciate all of you guys. We've come over 5,000 subscribers. I think we're almost getting close to 5,500, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you guys so much for that. This is now I think I just reached my 2-year podcasting anniversary, so that's amazing too. So I just wanted to introduce myself to those of you who are new. My name is Christy, and I live in a little town in Ontario, Canada. It's on the shore of Georgian Bay, so in Simcoe County. And I live here with my husband and our son and our 2 mini Aussie Shepherds, Charlie and Bandit. This is my channel where I love to share my love of fiber art, so knitting and sewing, embroidery, cross stitch, whatever I might be into at the moment. I also like to share non-fiber related crafts as well from time to time. So a very warm welcome to everyone that has joined us today. So let's begin with finished objects. The first one I already shared with you guys on my last podcast, which was about my fall plans, my fall knitting plan. So if you watched that one, you've already seen this one, but I thought I would share it with those of you who haven't watched it. So this is the Biz Beret, and this is a pattern by Sari Nordlund, and you can knit this with a fingering weight held with a mohair or a sport weight held with a mohair, and that will give you a different size beret. So I chose sport weight yarn, which is the Retrosaria Vovo, and this is the color 568A. And I held that together with Knitting for Olive Mohair in the color soft blue. And I really like how it turned out. I'm super happy with this. So this is my second one. The first one I decided to knit a little bit longer. I also sized up a needle for doing the I-cord cast off, which was recommended by some people in the project pages. And for this one, that one turned out a little bit bigger than what I wanted. So this one I did exactly the pattern. I did not knit it any longer than she suggests, and I did not go up a needle size for the brim here. And I like the way that this one turned out better. The other one is also great. It's just more slouchy, like a slouchy style beret. This one has a little bit more like structure to it when I'm wearing it. So I really like that. I decided not to block this one. So when you block it, you soak it and then you dry it with an 11-inch plate on the inside of it. And that gives it like this beret sort of shape, or like a tam, I guess it's called as well. I decided not to do that because I was a little afraid of this one stretching out too much and the brim stretching out too much. And I really like the fit of it. And I don't think it's absolutely necessary to do that. Once it's on your head, you can kind of shape it into that look. So yeah, super pleased with how this turned out. I actually want to make a ton more of these. Like I've already been adding yarns to my cart to make another one. I'd really like to make a sort of sagey green one. I think would be really nice. A black one would be really good. So yeah, they knit up pretty quickly too. Like I worked on these when I was making them like exclusively, and it probably took me about 2 days, I think, to make it. So yeah, really happy with how the Biz turned out. So my second finished object is the one that I'm wearing. This is the Felix pullover. This is a pattern by Amy Christoffers, and it is an Aran weight sweater that is knit on US 10 or 6mm needles. So I chose to use Drops Air. This is the color Pearl Gray. And yeah, I thought that this was a really fun, very quick. I think this one took me about 3 weeks, but I was working on other things at the same time as well. But it's a very quick, like you do these eyelet increases to shape the raglans. So once you've done that, then you just join them around. It's all stockinette, sleeves, all stockinette, and it knits up super quick on that 6mm needle. So it's a really fun, enjoyable, quick knit that you can take with you if you're knitting in the car or wherever you're going. You can take this with you and just knit on it, and it's very easy, easy to understand pattern. So this is the second Felix that I knit. The other one I knit in a size smaller than this one, so I decided to size up on this. Although I do really like the size and the shape of that one, I wanted a more boxy fit for this one, and I wanted to make this one crop. So I'll stand up and show you a little bit so you can see the shape of it. So it is quite boxy, and I did make it crop because I have these high-waisted jeans that I wanted to wear this one with. So this was like definitely more of a product knit because I had this idea of wanting to wear it with these jeans. And so I'll put a picture up of how it looks with the jeans. I'm very happy with it. At first, I thought maybe I had made it too short. So when I blocked this sweater, I had read that drops air like stretches a lot. And so I thought, I don't want to make it, I don't want to make it too long or the sleeves too long because I think it might stretch out a bit. But when I blocked this one, it actually shrunk a lot. And I was very surprised after, and maybe I used, my water was too warm when I was blocking it. I don't know. It didn't felt, but it just like was very, very short after I blocked it. So I had taken measurements of how it was on me before I had blocked it and where I wanted it to end up being. And the sleeves I had wanted to stay the exact same length. So I measured all of that, and then when I blocked it, I had to like stretch it out a lot to get it to be that right length. And I think it turned out really good. I'm really happy with how it is. But yeah, I think it was like 2 inches shorter or something than what I wanted it to be. So yeah, I stretched it out a ton. And yeah, I think that it turned out the right length for this outfit that I planned it for. And then she suggests that you do an Italian cast on and bind off. And I decided I didn't want to do that. And I felt like with this drops air, it's really like floofy, really fuzzy, and on this big gauge. I didn't think that the Italian cast on was necessary, so I just did a long tail cast on for it. And I also just did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off for all of the bind offs, like the cuffs and the hem and everything. And I think it turned out fine. My first one, I did that Italian bind off, and really I don't notice like a huge difference. So I think that this one looks fine the way it is. Okay, so my first work in progress is the Moby sweater. This is a pattern by Petite Knit, and it's a DK weight, all over textured sweater. There's a little bit of cabling, but mostly it is cross stitches and some double moss stitch. So a lot of texture on it. It's a really fun knit, keeps your interest definitely. So I'll show you what I've got so far. So that's the front and the back. And I have joined in the round. I think I've worked about 3 rounds after joining it in the round. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it's looking so far. So I'm knitting mine using Sandnes Garden Peer Gynt in the color 2650, which is a beigey gray sort of color. And I'm really excited to have this one. I think that this is like the perfect grayish color. And I love knitting with Peer Gynt. It's such, like, I just love the feeling of this in my hands while I'm working with it. And yeah, I'm happy with how it's turning out. So you start at the back here, and you're going to work short rows for a very long time to create these slants. You do it for many, many, many rows, doing these the short rows, and then it creates this sort of slanted shoulder line there. And then after you get to a certain length, then you're going to go back and you pick up stitches along the shoulders to start working the two fronts. So you start one side, work that down, then go on and pick up stitches to work the other side, and then you join them in the middle there. And you have to pick up your stitches, or try to pick up your stitches, so that you're kind of working the chart down the front, so that this panel isn't slightly over here, and the same thing, the cable. So you have to be careful when you're picking up your stitches here on the shoulders to try and get them as close to that, as close to the same number of stitches along, if that makes sense. So I did my best. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but I did my best trying to get those to line up there. I think it looks pretty good. And then that's going to be sort of on the back. And once it's blocked and everything, I think it'll look a lot better. But yeah. And then you go and knit down, and then you're going to finish or work the front yoke until a certain length down there. That's at the front. Yeah, that's front. Until you get to a certain length. And it's all very straightforward. Hello, Bandit. It's all very straightforward and easy to follow this chart. The chart is very, you can memorize this chart very easily. And when you're working, because you're working it flat, the one row is all of the knitting and doing the texture and all of that. And then the wrong side row, you're just purling mostly. You are doing some twisted stitches and stuff like that. But it's very easy to follow. So it's very relaxing because you get one engaging row and then one more simple row to do. And yeah, then once you so you're going to be working to a certain point to match the back. So when you are working the back and you're working down the chart, you have to end on the chart, and you have to make note of what row you ended on, so that when you end on the front before you join in the round, you're ending on the same row so that it matches when you continue on going in the round after. So you have to make note of that. But then her instructions for how long to knit the front were a little bit confusing to me. And I know that everybody is different. Everybody thinks differently, and follows the pattern a little bit, it makes sense to you in a different way. And for me, it was a little bit confusing because at one point she says, make sure that you knit 10 rows exactly, 10 rows longer than the back exactly. And I was like, well, I wasn't counting how many rows I've been knitting. I've just been following the chart. And I suppose I could go back and count all those rows and count the back rows and, figure that out. But to me, I thought it's not really necessary. It's more important that you're knitting to the right length and you're ending both sides on the right row. And she does give you the length that it should get to. But for her, she says 10 rows exactly, and then approximately this length. Where for me, I felt like it makes more sense to knit it to this length, but end on this right row. Anyways, I kind of looked at other patterns, other projects. I looked at the comments on this pattern, and I think some people were a little bit confused about it, but it seemed like maybe it was more just a me problem. I'm not really sure. But anyway, that confused me a little bit. It wasn't enough to make hold back my knitting at all. I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to knit to the right length. And that seemed to have worked okay when I joined in the round. Another thing that's a bit confusing is you're going to continue on working the charts. But the charts, they're the same charts. She doesn't do another chart for when you're working in the round, which isn't really necessary. But for me on the first round, because your wrong side round now all of a sudden is your right side round, because now all the rounds are going to be the right side. And so I forgot about that I didn't really think about that now that I'm doing that wrong side row, which is now a right side row, I need to treat that like a right side row. So when it says, it'll say in your chart when you're working flat, it'll be like knit these stitches on the right side and purl these stitches on the wrong side. Well, now they're all the right side. So you have to remember that. So the first round, and there's only a few stitches where that really matters, because the rest of it, you can tell, okay, I'm going to be knitting now. I'm not going to be purling. Obviously, I'm on the right side now. And it, you're reading your knitting, so obviously that's what you're going to be doing. But there's only some rows, or I mean some sections where it's doing a, I guess it's garter stitch. So you have to remember that you're going to switch that one on the right side row. I don't know if that makes sense, but so I was a bit confused. So when I went to do the next right side row, I just had to fix those stitches and turn those into purls instead of being knit. So yeah, that was a little bit confusing for me. And I mean, from experienced knitters, even intermediate knitters, it's obvious. But if you're just kind of in the flow, going like knitting in the flow, and then you might make that mistake. Not a big deal, easy to fix, but that was a little bit confusing. Another thing is you're casting on your underarm stitches here, which are in the double moss stitch pattern. So once you cast them on, you keep working around, then you're going to come work around again. And you want those stitches there to match up with both sides here of the double moss stitch. So the first time I came around, I thought, I've cast on too many stitches because it's not lining up with, I should show you on here where it's the beginning of the round. So once I came through and started here, it's not matching up anymore. And you're alternating knitting and purling to do that moss stitch, and then it didn't line up. Well, I thought maybe I've cast on too many stitches. That could be the problem. So I decreased a stitch there. And I don't know why I didn't just go and count the stitches, and then I would have seen like, okay, it matches up properly on this side, but not on this side, but I do have the right amount of stitches. I would have figured that out. But anyway, that's what I did. And then I knit around again, and I came back and I'm like, it's not matching up. What's going on? So I counted the stitches, and I was one short, obviously, from the other round. So then I ended up casting on another stitch, working around again, and it's not matching up again. Well, obviously the reason it's not matching up is because you're working rounds, but essentially you're working like the next row up, right? Even though you're working the round, you're still creating the next row up. So a double moss stitch, when you get to that next row, you need to alternate to be, like the two rows, because it's double moss stitch, the two rows are going to be the same, but then when you get to the third row, you need to change that order of stitches. So if it was knit, purl, knit, then that third row, you got to do purl, knit, purl, which makes sense now. But at the time, I was a little bit confused with that. So those are some things that kind of messed me up a little bit. Not a big deal because it's in the underarm, and to be honest, with that texture, you can't tell, especially just at the beginning, and those stitches are going to be picked up anyway for the arms. So it's not a big deal. It wasn't anything worth picking back for or anything like that. You definitely can't see it. But yeah, just something to keep in mind for those that, I don't know if I would say that this is a beginner pattern. It's definitely not listed as a beginner pattern on her website. I'm not sure. I'm not going to guess, but well, maybe I will guess. I think it's maybe a 4-star in her difficulty rating, but I'm not positive. But those are the only tricky bits that I had with the pattern. Everything else, all of this texture, all of this, like this is the only real cable. And this is a 4/4 cable. So it is a little tricky to, hold those 4 stitches to the front or the back, whichever. But it's not hard to do at all. And the rest of the texture is not hard to do. And like I said, once you get going with it, it's very easy to remember this whole chart. And now that I'm in the round, it's all just following that chart to the length that I want, which I think I'm going to knit it a little bit longer than the pattern suggests. And yeah, super happy. I am knitting the size large, which I think is the 4th size. And I'm liking how it's turning out. And, you know, once you block it with all these cables, it's going to stretch out a lot. I wanted this to be a bit oversized, but not super oversized. I don't want to be drowning in it, but I don't want it to be like clingy at all. So I think that that's going to be good. I don't really like when it's a cabled or textured pattern like this, and then I have a 38-inch bust. So, you know, sometimes that my bust will distort the pattern on the front and kind of stretch it out in weird ways. So I wanted it to sort of like skim over my body instead of being like a little bit fitted, and then that texture warps out a little bit. And so a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of people, but some people have mentioned, I've seen on other podcasts as well as in the comments and stuff, that these cables here are not the same as the picture. And I'll put that up here, what the sample picture looks like. The cables are going in the other direction, apparently. And that is not something that I even noticed when I saw this pattern. And, you know, I knew about it before I began knitting it, but it definitely wouldn't be something that I noticed, but I don't normally notice little details like that. But even if I did notice, I don't think that that would bother me. Like, who cares? I mean, that's up to the designer to decide which way the cables go, and it really wouldn't matter to me either way. But that's me. I don't know. But Petite Knit did say, she commented on that to say that the sample was done like that, and then after testing, it was decided to change the cable direction. I don't know why, but yeah, so if that's something that would annoy you, then just keep that in mind, that they are in the different direction, and that's very easy to change. If that does bother you, you can just change the direction of the cables, no problem. And yeah, so that's what I have done so far. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. So this one is going to be now my more complex knit that I'm working on, and then I have a more simple knit, kind of more simple, which is my Corvid by Jared Flood. So this is a worsted weight cardigan that is very, very long, and more like, I think he calls it a jacket or a coat or something. And it has this beautiful, huge shawl collar on it that is done with a cartridge rib, which is, I've never done a cartridge rib before, but I'll show you what that looks like. That's the wrong side, but yeah, it's this very cool textured ribbing here. And so all of the ribbing is going to be done like that. And then the shawl collar as well is going to be done in that same ribbing too. And it's really big and chunky, and I just love it so much. So I decided to knit mine using Cascades 220. This is it here. It's the color River Rock Heather. For the River Rock, I can't say that, it's a tongue twister. River Rock Heather. And I'm holding it together with Knitting for Olive in the color Pearl Gray, Mohair. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to soften up and sort of cool down any brownish tones or warmth that's in this, which there really isn't a lot of warmth in it, but I just really wanted that fuzzy grayish halo over top of it to mute it down just a little bit. And I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And I think this mohair is going to give it more like drape, and I really want it to be a like big blanket style cardigan to like wrap yourself up in instead of wearing a coat. So yeah, this is going to be my long-term project because it's very, very long, but I think it's going to be a pretty easy knit. So it is knit bottom up flat, and then you seam it together, and you then you work on the shawl collar. You pick up stitches for that. And so this is the back right now. I am knitting. I didn't put down what size I'm knitting actually in my notes, so I'll put it up on the screen, or everything that I'm talking about will be linked down below, as well as a link to my Ravelry, so project pages. So if you're interested, you can check it out there. I feel like I'm knitting size 3, but I'm not positive. Anyway, so this is the back, and all that you're doing on the back right now is just knitting and purling on the wrong side, and you're doing some decreases because the cardigan is an A-line shape. So you're just doing every certain amount of rows, you're doing a decrease on each side. So that's going to be like a very relaxing, easy knit. This will be my easy knit now that I'm finished the Felix. So this is something I can bring to family gatherings or whatever in the car, and I can work on it there. And yeah, so there's not a lot of progress because I was mainly working on this to get this one finished. I really wanted to show you guys a finished object today. So yeah, now I will be working on this one when I want more of a relaxing knit. All right, so I have a lot of works in progress right now. I don't know what's happening, and I actually just ordered some more yarn for my next work in progress. I don't know what I'm thinking, but I'll share those plans with you at the end as well. So in my fall knitting plans video, I talked about wanting to knit a basic mitten so that I could do some embroidery on, because I just picked up an embroidery kit from like embroidery decals type of thing at a fiber festival that I just went to. So I really wanted a basic mitten to knit and to embroider. So I found the world's simplest mittens, and this is a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and I have started working on those. So here's what I've got, just the cuff so far. And I'm knitting mine using some stash yarn that I actually had left over from my Lume sweater. This is Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock Worsted in the color Driftwood, and this is a worsted weight yarn. So the cool thing about these mittens is, first of all, they're free, which is awesome. And then second of all, you can knit them using whatever yarn you want, whatever weight of yarn you want. So it gives you instructions for all of that. And another really cool thing is Tin Can Knits has developed their own app, which is really fun, especially I think for beginner knitters, because what it does is, like for this pattern, you will you go in the app and you select this pattern, and then you select which size and which weight of yarn you want to use to knit them. And then it just gives you the pattern for that, for your size and your weight of yarn, which is so easy because normally I'll print out my patterns and I write on them and I highlight the size I'm making and all of that. But for a smaller accessory, I don't want to waste the paper and the ink to do that. So I'll just knit off of my screen. But then you're having to weed through the instructions for all these different sizes, and which would be difficult because, it's giving you, like, you have all different weights of yarn and all of that. So with this, you just can narrow it down and just knit your own pattern, which I think is really, really great for a beginner knitter. So if you're looking for a mitten pattern, you're a beginner knitter, I definitely recommend the world's simplest mittens. You can use any yarn that you have at home, and it's free. And it's very, very easy to understand so far. So I've just done the 1x1 ribbing, and now I'm working on the body of the mitten, and I've just done a few rows in stockinette, and then I am working on the thumb gusset. So it's beginning right now to do the thumb gusset. So I don't have a lot of progress, but I think that these are gonna obviously knit up super quickly with the worsted weight yarn and the bigger needles. And then I will be doing this little fox here. I'm going to embroider this on the mittens. I don't know if I'll just do one fox on one mitten and, maybe this mushroom on the other mitten, or the bird. I'm not really sure. They're all really cute. So the little package came with these peel and stick decals, and then the instructions and the requirements for the embroidery floss that you're going to use. So am I holding that up right? Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be doing this cute fox here, and I'm really excited for that. I've started to get my threads ready, but I can't find some of them. I think some of them are in different project boxes, as I do a lot of cross stitch as well. So I think that that will look really cute on this like driftwood yarn for a very fall looking mitten. And we've already started, we had like really, really hot weather all summer. Every day was a heat wave. And then all of a sudden, this week it's gotten a lot cooler, like 12 degrees in the morning. And I love it. And we've been getting a ton of rain. So we've had like nice, rainy, gloomy, cooler days, which are my absolute favorite. Okay, so my next work in progress is also another pair of mittens, and these ones are going to hibernate for a little while I finish up the world's simplest mittens because they're more of a fall theme. So I want to have those done. But I did get a lot of progress done on these ones. So you haven't seen these yet, although I did make these mittens before. I made one of the mittens and then I didn't finish the second one. And I wasn't super happy with my tension on those ones. And I couldn't find that first one. I don't know where I put it. And I can't find the yarn that I used. So I decided, like, I really, really want to make these mittens. So I decided to cast on a new pair. And what I'm doing now, from some recommendations from you guys when I was talking about problems I was having with tension for knitting socks, a lot of you suggested using a 9-inch circular to work them in the round. Because before I've tried magic loop and I've tried double pointed needles, and some projects were better than others, but they did have a lot of those tension issues. And so I decided to try the 9-inch circulars. And so far, I'm really loving it. So first, when I started using it, when I cast this project on and I started doing that in the round and on such small needles, I was having a lot of pain in my pinky finger. And I'm an English style knitter. And I think when I knit, I don't know what I do with my pinky, but it's kind of been supported, I guess, by the longer needles. But with the short needles, there's no support for that pinky finger. And so I got a lot of like pain in that pinky finger. So I was like, oh, I won't be able to use these 9-inch circulars. And I really, really want to because the tension looks a lot better with them. And I just like the feeling of knitting in the round and not having to like adjust your needles doing magic loop or the double pointed needles. It just flows a lot better, obviously. And so, I didn't give up. The next day I did like, 1 or 2 rounds of it and then I put it away. And then I just kept doing that over the next week. And the pain in my pinky went away. And I think I just needed to strengthen my pinky finger by doing just little bits of it at a time. And so I'll show you what I have so far. So these, I haven't even told you the pattern. The pattern is the Songbird mittens. And this is by Erica Huser. And it's a fingering weight mitten knit on US 2 or 2.75 millimeter needles. And so here is mine so far. So you have this really beautiful color work, like the entire mitten is gorgeous. So you have this like cuff that is so pretty. And then it goes into this bird pattern on the front side of the mitten. So it's a bird sitting on a branch, and I'll put a picture up of what they look like. And then on the other side, on the palm, you also have this beautiful color work, different chart on the palm. And it's absolutely beautiful. And I am knitting mine using some stash yarn that I had. So this is Cascade's 220 fingering weight yarn in the color 8393 navy. And then for the gray, I am using some that I bought for some socks that I didn't make. And this is Filcolana Arwetta in the color gray. And yeah, I really like those two together. It's very similar color scheme to the sample pattern, except for I decided to cast on with the gray. I had just seen some other projects where people had done that without, like in the sample, it's navy blue here, or I don't know, black or blue or whatever here. But I decided I wanted to cast on with the gray. And yeah, that's what I've got done so far. It's an addictive knit. I want to work on this all the time. It's so fun working with these little circulars, and then also the chart is different every row. So it's not something other than the palm of the mitten, the front side is different on every row because you're not really doing a pattern, you're doing more of a full image. So it's interesting. And then it has this like up the side detail, which I think is really pretty. So I just, what do you say, separated for the thumb. I'm not sure if that's what you call it, but there's my thumb there. And those stitches have been put on hold. And then now I'm working out the rest of the hand. And then you go back and you pick up stitches around the thumb gusset and knit the thumb. And the thumb has beautiful color work on it as well. I think it has like a flower or leaves or something like that. It's so beautiful. So I'm excited to have these, but I feel like these are more of a winter kind of mitten for some reason. I don't know why. That's how I feel. So I'm going to put those aside while I work on the other mittens and get those ones done first. Okay, I think that is all of the projects I've got going on so far. And then I have this cute little book that I picked up, which says sketch on it, but I'm using it for just my knitting notes. So I like to have this just like on the table beside my chair. And then if I think of something like about my project, then I'll just like jot some notes down in it, which is helpful for planning my podcast, but also just I want to keep really good notes on all my projects to go back. Like sometimes even I forget to put where I purchased my yarn from. So if I need an extra ball of yarn, I don't remember which shop. And then I have to go back and look through all of my receipts and stuff like that and figure out where I bought it from. But if I just put that into Ravelry, it's so much easier. So I want to keep better notes in all of my projects as well. All right, so now I want to talk about another future plan that I have. And, I've totally gone off the rails here and I'm got way too many whips going on. And if you watched my channel before, you know that I find that very, very stressful, but I don't know why. I just cannot stop casting on projects right now. And then I just also did my fall plans video where I talked about some other projects that I'm thinking of making, some accessories and stuff like that. And I told you guys I cannot cast on any more sweaters right now. I've like at my fill of sweaters. And then I bought more yarn. So I'm not upset though. I think that this is going to be good because this is my my rationalizing. I've got my Moby that is textured and a little bit more complicated where I have to concentrate. And then I have my Corvid that is more relaxing, but it is a very long-term knit. So I don't expect to get that one finished even probably by the end of winter. It's just going to be something I'm working on for months, I expect. So I need another like easy pattern that's going to knit up a little bit quicker, right? I don't know. This is what I said. And I have always liked this pattern from this book. I knit the Amy Slipover out of this book. This is Sandnes Garn. It is 2202. That's the name of the magazine or the book. And I saw this pattern in here, which I absolutely loved. And this is the Gia Zipper Genser thing. Yeah. And I'll put some other, well, I can show you. These are so pretty. I love this blouse, this floral blouse that she's wearing underneath it in the pictures. I'll put it up here so you can see a little bit better. I think that that's so pretty. If I had a blouse like that, I'd want to wear it under mine. And so, yeah, I've been looking at that one for a long time, kind of thinking, what would I want to use? And I like, she's got this very, I don't know, is that chartreuse or, kind of limey, lemony colored sweater, which is really pretty. It's not a color for me, but I think that it's such a unique color for this sweater because the sweater is quite basic other than this, big zipped up neck. But it's, stockinette stitch, very basic kind of sweater. So I think you could have fun with different, the different colors that you choose. I think I've seen a lot in very bright, like lime green and stuff, really bright colored ones, which I think are really cool. If you did like fluorescent colored ones, you could do anything. And I think that would look awesome. And then you have this metal zipper as well. And so because my color palette is not these bright, fun colors, unfortunately, I am a soft summer, so I have very muted colors in my palette. Not that I couldn't knit in any other color if I wanted to. I definitely could. But if I did a very bright green, like Kelly green, which I love looking at, I probably wouldn't wear it very often. So if I don't feel like it suits me, I don't want to wear it. So I don't want to knit something like that. So I decided to do a very like soft, dusty blue. And I chose, well, I should say the suggested yarn for this is Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, held together with Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair. So I decided to go with the color, oh, now I'm not going to be able to find it. I'll have to put it up on the screen. This is a Petite Knit. Petite Knit does special colors for Sandnes Garn sometimes. So this one is called Above the Clouds, and it's like a dusty, lighter blue. I thought it was so pretty. And then I'm going to hold it together with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color Soft Blue. And I think that that'll give it a bit of slight marling, not a lot, but a little bit. And the soft blue is going to make the Above the Clouds even dustier and a little bit lighter of a color, I think. And then I wanted to talk to you guys about some non-knitting related crafts that I'm working on, crafts and things that I'm enjoying recently. But first, I wanted to announce the winner of my cardigan bundle pattern. So I received so many entries, so many comments for this pattern, and it's great. I added so many new cardigans to my cardigan bundle on Ravelry, so thank you guys so much for that. And also, I think the majority of people that commented there, or the pattern that got the most votes from my bundle, was definitely the minimalist cable cardigan. And I'll put a picture of that one here. A lot of you guys were saying that you hadn't seen this pattern before because it is an older pattern. But yeah, you hadn't seen this before and you're interested in making this cardigan. So I think that's awesome. I definitely want to make that too, but I can't right now. I can't. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to the winner of this contest. And actually, since I received so many comments on this one, I've decided to give away 2 patterns. So I'll be choosing 2 winners for this contest. So I'm using a random comment picker to choose the 2 people, the 2 posters. So the winners of the contest are here and also here. So if you are one of these people, please get in touch with me. You can send me an email. My email address is linked in my YouTube. Or you can send me a message on Ravelry, or you could send me a message in my Instagram, and everything is in the description down below. So you can find it all there, and then we can chat about how I can get this pattern to you. So thank you everybody who entered this contest and for all the amazing cardigan ideas that you've given me to add to my favorites. So now let's talk about some other non-knitting related crafts that I'm into. And actually this first one is something that my husband has actually been making. So this project wasn't made by me, but I wanted to share it with you because I'm very proud of him. Last year he bought himself a lathe, like a wood lathe, and he's been learning how to turn wooden bowls. So he's been working on that a lot and practicing and making different shapes of bowls and stuff like that. So I wanted to share with you some of his bowls, and because we are thinking to do something with them after together and I'd like to share that with you guys too on a future video. But here I'll show you some of the bowls. So this is a small one that has like a live edge on it, which is really beautiful. And that shape of it is so like pretty. And yeah, that's the inside, the bottom. And so I have a couple of these little bowls because he's been practicing on them. So I have one that sits beside my knitting chair, and that's where I put like scraps of yarn when I'm trimming off ends and stuff like that. And yeah, so now I have another one. I don't know what I'm going to keep in it, but I think it's so beautiful. And then last night he made this one, which is a little bit bigger. Like, so beautiful. That's the bottom of it. And so what we wanted to do, or what he thought of, he wants to do with this is make candles in these. So we are going to make some candles. On a future episode, I'll show you some of that, like how that goes, like how the process is for that, because we made candles a few years ago with our kids and stuff, and that was really fun to do. And we just did them in little glass jars. So I have a ton of wax left, and I have some wicks as well. So we bought some of these wooden wicks, which are really cool. They flicker and do make this little sound and stuff while they're burning. So yeah, we thought we would do them, make some candles in this. So I just want to say I'm not really sure about the safety of making a candle in a wooden bowl. So that's one thing that we are gonna like kind of check out how that works and stuff. So I'm not really sure. I've looked up some things. I have seen candles in wooden bowls you can buy. So I'm not sure if you have to treat it in a certain way so that the bowl doesn't catch on fire, which would not be good, or what you do. So we're going to have to look that up and see. And we're also only going to burn this candle if we're like right there in the room, obviously, which you should do. You should only do that anyway for safety reasons, but we're going to keep an eye on it while it's burning. So make sure that this is not a fire hazard. But I think that would be so fun. And we really want to do like a balsam fir sort of smell. I think that would be really great. So we've got some like fragrance oils and stuff, or essential oils, that we're going to add to it too, to give it like a Christmassy sort of smell when the candle is burning. So yeah, that's an exciting project that I'm looking forward to doing soon. And then I wanted to share with you a new game that my son just got gifted from his grandpa. And we like to play like card games and stuff like that a lot. So he gifted him this game. And yeah, we've been having a lot of fun with it. So it's called Coyote. It's a card game, and it's a lot of fun because you have like a group of people. I think you have to have 3 people minimum. And you lay out these cards at the beginning, and each card has a word on it as well as an action. And you go around the table, and you have to go like, and then say the word and the action. So it goes in order around the table. And the first person will say the word and make the action. And then, there's some actions, like it'll say like so scared, and then you have to make that action. And then the next person has to go like squirrel or something like that. I can't really remember. And then the next, like when it's the next person's turn, they get 3 cards and they get to choose one of those cards to add to the lineup of cards. And sometimes it could be like another word and action, or sometimes it could be like something special that you do. So some of them say hide one of those cards. So you flip it over. So now you can't see the name, the word, or the action, and you just have to try and remember it. So, this game is a lot easier for kids, I think. When you get older and your memory is not so great, it's really hard to remember because it gets like very chaotic after a while. Like, there's so many things that you have to do with it, like whisper this word or say this word, like with your tongue sticking out, and like just like crazy things that you have to remember as the rounds go, like the turns go around. And it's also fun, like because you're trying to work as a team in a way to finish the row of cards. Because if somebody makes a mistake, they get 1 card, and then after 3 cards, they're out. But then you have to redo that row again. So that's kind of where you have like a bit of teamwork, trying to work together to finish the whole thing, and everybody's happy when everybody does it properly and you get through the whole row. So yeah, I think it's a lot of fun, and it's also really good like training for your memory. So if you're like me and your memory is not that great, then yeah, this game is I think very helpful for that. Okay, so that's everything that I had to share with you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will hope to be back next week with another roundup video. I'm not really sure, I'm still working on that. But anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I will see you guys again soon. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy knitting everyone. Bye.